Today I'm going to show you how to turn this into this, sort of. What's up guys, Dan here, Coalcracker Bushcraft. So yes, Dan is backpack, pack frame, crazy, obsessed with it, yes. I don't know, it's like I said at the very first build of this pack frame, this is like one of those things, if you're a bushcraft survival dude or dudette, you need to embrace at some point and at least use it for a month. I don't know, I just feel like that. I just think it's a fun bushcrafty type thing and it's so like in touch with what we do. So you gotta use it, all right? That's why I'm so obsessed with it. But listen, you build one of these, you don't wanna look like some Boy Scout that went wild and escaped from a mental institution carrying this through the woods. You got to pack this up so it looks nice and it's neat and it's actually usable, okay? And why I'm saying that is we make these at our advanced bushcraft class. People, they often bring them back even to Bushmen and stuff like that. But you don't want to make these things that the loadout is like this big, you know, off camera, this high, that thick. So there is a little bit of a technique to loading these things out and then tying them up. So I know I showed you in the pack frame video itself, hey, I could tie this up. But we're going to show you some tips to that because I think if you see it happen, it's going to make way more sense. So what I decided to do is bring my backpack with some equipment in. Now, not all of my equipment is in here, but my sleeping gear, I have some extra clothes, some of my pouches, my repair kit, my rope bag, my tent pegs, my fire kit, all that stuff is in here. And then what else I would have along with me is in my haversack. So the haversack would go along with this. So this is the pack itself. So let's rip this thing apart and pack it out on here and show you what that would actually look like. All right, so this loadout's going to start with your tarp itself. That is going to be the outside portion of the pack. This tarp is an oilcloth 8x8 tarp, and what you should be noticing is that on the center seam, the loops are facing down. So what we want is we want the outside of the tarp, okay, the part of the tarp that's going to take on the weather to be facing downward because we're going to pack everything inside. The reason for that is because when you get into camp, if it does rain or precipitate in any way, we want the outside of the tarp to be wet, not the inside that's going to be facing you all night. We want that nice and dry. So the outside of the tarp facing down, best way to start. Next step in this process is to lay down your sleeping equipment or your heavier, bulkier gear. Now, we're going to use a wool blanket because we're bushcrafters, but if you're going to be in really cold weather and you're carrying a sleeping bag, you can also lay that down. This is the key to this whole thing fitting right, okay? Get your pack frame out. Fold your blanket or your sleep gear so it is as wide as your uprights. So here are my uprights. I lay it down. My blanket equals the size of my uprights. It is perfect. If our blanket is way too big here, okay, once we fold this all up, what's going to happen is it's going to be way too wide, and we know when we made this pack frame, it fitted to ourselves. So we don't want our pack bigger than us. We want it the same size. All right, so that fits properly. I can put this off to the side. Now, what I'm going to do is I am going to begin to pack this with the rest of my gear. Okay, so now here's the next key. Once we get this sized, you need to split your sleeping gear into 4 parts. All right, so quarters, 1 quarter, 2 quarter, 3 quarter, 4 quarter. All right, however you want to lay that out. You just got to remember 1, 2, 3, 4 or 1, 2, 3, 4, okay? Easy stuff. In my case, okay, the way I'm packing, I'm saying 1, 2, 3, 4. The reason I'm yelling 3, this is the 3rd part of my kit. This is what I'm going to load all of my equipment into, this 3rd portion. All right, that is important for when we pack it, so the load distribution is correct. Okay, so here's how we're going to do this. What I had in my backpack: flannel, which this is new coming out in Coalcracker. I shouldn't even show you, but we have flannels coming out. So that's going to get laid down here, just like that, nice and easy. Next we have, I'll tell you, fire kit. Okay, now one thing with this, you're not going to pack inside this loadout things that you need readily available or that you're going to use often. Those items either go outside or in your haversack. So in my case, This is my redundant fire stuff. So I have another ferro rod and another fire starting device inside my haversack. So my fire kit is going to be inside here, okay? This is my utility bag with my compass, which this is something right now, like, right? I'm going to pull that out if I need it. If I'm just using it as extra because I'm not going to be navigating per se right now, it's in here. Spoon, repair kit, all that. So I'm going to lay that in here. Tent pegs, gonna lay those in there. This is my bag of ridge lines and extra cordage. I need to pull out a ridge line. You're gonna need a ridge line for this. Take a ridge line out because I'm gonna need it. Place that bag in here. Then I have my cup. I even have some cooking stuff, okay? Everything else that I'm gonna carry along at this point can go into my haversack. If I have more gear, load it in there, be fine. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna begin by folding up my tarp. So I folded my tarp in half, enclosing my gear, being able to look and feel where my gear is. Now, at this point, all right, when I bring the other half over, I don't want to just fold this and let it go. I want to fold it to the size of my blanket. So I want to feel where my blanket's at, and I can do one of two things. I can either bring this end over, and you got to play with this a little bit. I really suggest doing this at home so you get a feel for this. In my case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this end over until it touches the blanket itself, so I know about where that's at, and I can feel. I can even take a little peek inside there and see. All right, and now I'm going to fold that one more time over this way. All right, so at this point now I know that my equipment's in the third quadrant. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go halfway and I'm gonna fold my tarp, okay? Now, my equipment is located here. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut that in half again, give it a fold. Now all my equipment is secured inside. Now, the reason we want to fold it that way is because we totally waterproofed our equipment at this point. So if you look at the top of my pack itself, okay, what you notice is there is no fold. The bottom are all the folds, so the water is going to shed off of that and be proper at this point, okay? So nice and folded. Plus on the sides, there are no openings, so nothing's going to get in between and get my gear wet or anything like that. At this point now, we are ready to attach it to our pack frame. But first, what we're going to do is we're going to take our ridge line, and I'm going to show you how we're going to use that. So here is our ridge line. This is what we're going to be utilizing to attach our frame and our pack together, because we already have it, and once we take the pack off of the frame, we have to use this ridge line anyway. Now, I know I said once you set up your ridge lines, you never have to tie that bowline or bowline knot ever again, but I'm going to tell you right now, it's easier if you do at this point. Take your original bowline knot out and then tie another one, but this time I want you to leave a nice long tail. So this is actually the cut end, goes up the line, bowline knot, and then the rest of my ridge line. And there's a reason for that you're going to see. Now, before I actually attach this, how we're going to start, it's way easier to look at it this way, is I'm going to take a corner and I'm going to put my bowline knot just over one of those ends, okay? And that's going to be a good point to start to pull and tighten this pack down. So we moved up here onto one of our workbenches at the school. You can see that this side right here is our bowline knot. Remember when you're doing this, that the two rails, the top and the bottom one, should be facing out, and the center one should be facing into your back. Now I'm going to take this and I'm going to set that on. You can see what a nice even fit this is on here, okay? Now, at this point, you're gonna begin to lace this up. So what I mean by that, you're gonna take your ridge line and you are just gonna work it from edge, all right, to edge. Now, there's no real way to do this. I like the X fashion though the best. I think that it is the strongest to utilize. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my ridge line, I'm gonna come across my bag to start, and I'm gonna just go around the end of one of my cross members, okay? Pull that a little bit tight. I don't have to overkill it. And then I'm gonna come across to the other side this way, pull that tight, come down to the bottom, pull that tight. Now, this is where the beauty of that long tail comes in. I can come across here and I can just tie myself a knot or a bow right here to secure this whole setup. I can even pull it way over to this side if I want to also, which that's what I'm gonna do. Just tie a little bow like we're tying our shoes. Can't tie your shoes in your Velcro, go back, watch some of my videos. Now, what we're doing here is we have this bow, we have all this line. So I see people do this all the time. And they start walking and this thing is dragging 3,000 feet behind them. Take this end and just tuck it inside your pack real far. Okay, you can tuck all that stuff in, this kind of stuff. You can wrap around just so it doesn't get caught as easily. Okay, got that in place. And it's all sealed up. And then just like that, that thing is loaded out with my gear, and you can see it's actually pretty low profile, and I put a good amount of stuff in there. You can definitely add more. If you're folding this way, you want to lay your stuff out evenly in that third quadrant, and that's going to keep it nice and low profile. Even if it gets a little bit thicker, it's not going to be that crazy. Plus, again, look at from side to side, that is fitting our pack so well. All of this is the same as cushioning against your back, so it's super comfortable. This rides above your shoulder blades, so that's comfortable. So you're really good to go. So I hope everybody enjoyed that loadout video. That is how you load out a pack frame. Now, if you have a pack board, like a World War II pack board, or you have a pack frame made of aluminum or anything like that, or you're at a yard sale and you get the old school 80s backpack aluminum frames, same concept. Load your gear out the same way and you will be good to go. Just go in your backyard or go down to the basement or throw the wife out of the living room and lay out the tarp and then just get the right measurements. Once you get it squared away and you know how you need to fold your gear, it's gonna work so much better for you. If you like this video and your wife didn't kill you already after that comment, go ahead, hit the subscribe button below. You can also check us out at coalcrackerbushcraft.com. And then if you have nowhere to go, we have classes, so you can at least get 3 nights of living somewhere in the woods legally until your wife allows you to come back home. So, all right, so that's it. I think until the next video, y'all need to stay in the woods.